financial mega battle to escalate in late February, early March. The secret battle for the planet Earth is entering a critical phase over the coming weeks, especially in the realm of finance, where an epic three-way battle is raging. Multiple sources agree. In this battle, cryptocurrencies and the Chinese yuan are fighting each other, as well as fighting to replace the current privately owned Western central bank petrodollar, EU, and Japanese yen-based system. In the biggest move, the gauntlet has been cast by the Chinese as they challenge US petrodollar, with the former announcement of a March 26 start of a gold-backed yuan oil future started. Asian secret society sources say the year of the dog, which is just starting, usually brings volatility, in this case presumably in the financial markets, before things settle down into a new normal as the year progresses. This means the Chinese are ready for a financial war once they return from the Lunar New Year's holidays this week and next. This Chinese move against the petrodollar coincides with a Russian threat to withdraw from the Western-controlled SWIFT international payment system. A CIA sources in Asia say he was informed by his Russian counterparts that if Russia starts trade without using the international SWIFT trading accounts and completely switches over to China's cross-border interbank payment system, there will be at least a dozen other nations that makes the switch within days. Meanwhile, a Canadian Secret Intelligence Service agent notes that Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev of Russia is also a CEO of Russian Federation, licensed to operate out of London, so if the order is given to move away from SWIFT system, the US dollar simply dies and we will see huge inflation. What he means by this is that the London Financial District, and by implication the 2.4 billion member British Commonwealth, would join the Russians as Chinese in ditching the US dollar. There's also a big push to replace the petrodollar with a gold-backed cryptocurrency that could revive the Chinese yuan for influence, according to Russia, CIA, Pentagon, and Japanese government. Are the sources involved in this project, which we discuss in further detail below. These developments are probably why senior members of the P2 Freemason Lodge, the controllers of the existing dollar EU Indian system, contact the White Dragon Society last week to sue for peace. There will be more about these discussions with the P2 below. Also last week, former CIA officers and the co-founder of Marine Intelligence Activity, Robert David Stowe, showed up in Japan last week to meet with WDS members. Remember, the top generals in the Trump regime, including the Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis, White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Jose Dunford, were all Marine generals, so the timing of Stowe's arrival in Japan can be no coincidence. In Japan, Stowe met with members of Asian secret societies, senior right-wing power brokers, members of the Japanese royal family, and others. The discussion focused on ideas of an alternative to existing Western's economic paradigm. Mr. Stowe's view is that the real cost of producing items must be included in the cost of a product. The example he gave was how the use of dangerous carcinogens in the production of smartphones could lead to cancer among the phone factory workers, and that the cost of this cancer should be included in the price of the phone. It was argued by the various parties that certainly the cost of pollution, for example, should be paid in full by the polluters. There was also a general agreement that the current system of privately owned central bank is destroying the planet and needs to be end. An Asian-based CIA sources involved in the discussion said the ASEAN nations, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Brunei, Indonesia, the Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Myanmar, are preparing to start the process by nationalizing the central banks. There was, however, disagreement about cryptocurrencies. the Asian Secret Society representative said the Chinese had made decisions in February 2017 to stop supporting cryptocurrencies because they feared that large AI could be able to take control of them and thus take control of human society. However, the Asian Secret Society representative said they were willing to support the WGS ideal of a gold-backed cryptocurrency, but only if they were given proof the gold actually exists. The WGS promised to provide detailed evidence to the Asians in the form of statistically valid amount of core samples. The gold deposits are in Bougainville, Indonesia, and elsewhere, and are not related to the legendary caves full of already mined global collector accounts gold. They will be mined using ecologically friendly technology. In any case, even the current cryptocurrencies, backed only by computers and human psychology, are spooking the owners of the existing financial system. For example, Arizona, Florida, and Wyoming are now allowing taxes to be paid via cryptocurrencies despite their volatility. It won't be long before other states follow. This may be why Augustine Carstens, general manager of the Bank for International Settlement, the central bank for central banks, said in his first ever public speech on February the 6th that if authorities do not act preemptively, cryptocurrencies could become more interconnected with the main financial system and become a threat. Most importantly, the meteoric rise of cryptocurrencies should not make us forget the important role central banks play as stewards of public trust. Private digital tokens masquerading as currencies must not subvert this truth. The BIS, by the way, is being conspiracy theory meets to so-called mainstream news. Publications like the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times are full of articles about arcane BIS pronouncements affecting the entire planet. Yet the BIS is not accountable to any government on earth and nobody elected them. The other point is that with the wicked stock markets, the Libra scandal, the Lemon stock, and etc., they have already subverted any trust anyone ever had in them. In any case, Pentagon sources say the new global financial system is coming as cable dams have been destroyed. Also, preparations for a new Pan-African currency are now moving ahead that Zimbabwe is politically stable for its dollar to become the reserve currency for Africa, as long-term opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai is dead, the sources say. Developments like all those mentioned above, especially the start of gold-backed UN oil trading, are why the Peter Freemanson Lodge, rulers of the old petrodollar system, are negotiating peace with the White Dragon Society. The P2 will advise that they must announce a jubilee, a one-off cancellation of all debt worldwide, as well as the redistribution of fraudulently obtained access, as a starting point for a new financial paradigm. They are also asked to instruct their UN, G7, World Bank, and other subsidiaries to announce a multi-trillion-dollar campaign to save the planet. As a part of this, a newly created, meritocratically and transparently run future planet agency would be created to carry out these plans in consultation with the people of the planet Earth. As of this writing, no positive response has been received from the P2, so the process of removing them permanently from all positions of power will continue until completed. The removal from power of arc-centennials and mass murderers Benjamin Netanyahu, now that he has been indicted by Israeli prowess, is going to be the next step in that process. Netanyahu is trying to hold the Jewish citizens of Israel hostage by threatening a suicidal war with Iran. However, Jewish CIA sources are saying it is inevitable that Netanyahu will go to jail, and if Khazarian Mafia Netanyahu goes to jail, he will not come out alive. It appears the Jews are finally waking up to the fact that They are still in their Babylonian capacity after thousands of years and are about to finally free themselves. In this context, the latest shooting incidents in Florida appears to have been an attempt to scare the Jews into continued submissions. Here's what Pentagon sources had to say about it. This was no ordinary school shooting, but the message to the Jewish mafia, as the Parkland, Florida high school is 40% Jewish and 5 of 17 dead are Jewish. It says a lot about the state of the U.S. that there is such a thing as an ordinary school shooting. In any case, the source says, Parkland is also the Texas hospital that handled John F. Kennedy when he was shot, so this was also a message for the Bushes and Iran. The source also informs us that the anti-Trump actor Robert De Niro may be exposed for being a client of international underage prostitution ring. Also, the Pentagon sources say the NSA has now confirmed the U.S. President Donald Trump won the popular vote with 70 million votes versus 57 million for Hillary Clinton. We wish Trump the best, but it is still hard to see how Washington, D.C. is going to be able to avoid a formal declaration of bankruptcy.